But all right, Sam, I think we're gonna get started with the US, and the biggest story that we have there probably has to do with the Virginia election, and we'll make our way down from there. So in Virginia, as everybody
Of
knows,
course.
Republican Glenn Youngkin defeated Democrat Terry McAuliffe in the Virginia governor's race Tuesday night. In New Jersey, Democratic New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy narrowly fended off election challenge from Republican former state law worker Jack Ciattarelli. A day returns showed on Wednesday, a day after voting ended in an unexpected nail biter for the incumbent. Murphy, 64, became the first Democratic governor in 4 decades to win re-election in New Jersey. So let's start with those. We'll come back to Buffalo after. So Sam, really the Virginia one, I wanted to start off with this video clip from the Katie Halper show. So Katie Halper had an hour-long, at least, discussion. She had her usual colleague next to her. Who does these.
Les- Leslie Lee, fantastic discussion because they are very well educated, obviously, and all that, and they're based, I believe, in Virginia. So you have the both macro and micro level analysis. It's fantastic.
Exactly. And Leslie was joined by another person from Virginia who goes by the acronym YB, I believe. So I don't think she shared much information about herself. I don't know much else about her, but she seems to be very much involved.
I thought for a moment that that's Leslie Lee's partner, as in partner, romantic partner, but I wasn't sure. Like, I don't know if it was a very long live and very early, like late early for me. So
I didn't even. I mean, all that I know is that she said that she was very much active, and she was kind of going around and trying to debunk or discuss some of the different education questions and issues going around, I believe. So let's start off with this clip, which I think is quite enlightening, and then we'll come back and kick off the discussion.
How much do you think the Manchin cinema stuff played a role? Do you think this is a case of just I feel like people aren't like, oh, well, Manchin and Sinema are being assholes. I don't think it's like that, but is it that like the Dems just couldn't point to anything that they were delivering to get people out of the house?
Yeah, what have the Democrats done for you that would be worth going out of the house to vote for him in the past 2 years, or anybody? It is Manchin and Cinema, but it's they haven't done shit. Like, why would you vote for? Like, why would you bother?
Right, we tried to get him to send us our check. Remember?
I don't
Leslie?
know. Yeah, the checks. What has there been their COVID response? What is impending from Joe Biden? Oh, he's going to start making you pay your student loan. People got emails. People started, like, no one's talked about this. People started getting emails that they're going to start paying their student loan payments. How do you think that affected the election?
Right.
I think you're both being, unfortunately, too complex with this issue. I really do think. I mean, every county in Virginia, went to the right by so many points. Biden won Virginia by over 10 points, and it really was education. That was the message that was sent out by these groups like Stand Up. Insert state here. Ian Pryor, one of the driving, voices from the Republican side of things, famously does not have children in Loudoun public schools, but yet has managed to galvanize an entire state on the issues of education, Prop 8040, which is the transgender bathroom bill, and anti-CRT rhetoric. I mean, that was really in every school board meeting. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but this blossoms on these network apps, like Nextdoor, and when the message that they're sending is your teachers are pedophiles, yeah. And that's it's just that's the kind of rhetoric you're dealing with at the school board meetings. So you can't really campaign against that. That's not an idea you're going to change, with a 30-second TV.
So you're saying they just didn't show, but they didn't provide an alternative?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Not
but
at
could
all.
They have? I mean, as much as I want the narrative to be like, if the Dems had, I guess the idea is that this often happens. Like there are people who are religious, but they're religious. Not all people, but some people, you get them. I mean, the way that Dems get people who would potentially vote for Republicans is that they get them on bread and butter issues, right?
Yeah.
Like that's one of the main ways that you get people who would maybe for cultural reasons vote against you. But it's kind of like they didn't even give the bread and butter issues that would have countered those cultural issues.
No, they didn't even address the basic concerns that many Virginians had, was about the security and health and welfare of their children. And if you
Right.
can't have politicians or campaign staff that understand the population, then you're going to lose every time. I mean,
Right.
This generalization of this gender or this group and that group, the nuances are great, but the driving issues are the health and welfare of yourself and your family, and once you go further from that, it becomes heavily nuanced. But that's an access point that we can all agree on, that we want the children to be well prepared for their future and have a solid education. I don't think McCullough helped it when he said parents should have limited impact or input into their children's education. He said that. Yeah. And, I think I don't know if politicians are scared of parents. I don't know. It seems like it, the way they hesitate to be transparent.
All right. Now that we watched this video and clip, Sam, why don't you get us started? I mean, it seems to me that the lady, like many other people, is saying that the main issue in Virginia was the education. I love how in the beginning she tells Katie Halper and Leslie that because they're like thinking, oh, is it because Joe Manchin and stuff didn't allow Democrats to pass their agenda? Is that why they're being punished and stuff? And she says, I think you're making it way too complicated and complex. It's about education and parents feeling that their inputs aren't being taken into consideration or respected correctly by the current administration. So yes, get us started a bit. What would you like to say about this election?
Yeah, first of all, I like, as always, to clarify that I haven't done a specific statistical study of the exit polls before, after, like the issue of CRT, and after the Democratic candidate made those comments that kind of became viral in a debate that said, I don't want to allow. So I think, like, if you want a scientific answer, we should do probably studies like that. So this is just a very much a quick take commentary, probably not that valuable. But I would say there is a. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's not valuable. But sorry, Sam, go ahead.
It's valuable in terms of we get some views, maybe a subscribe. So I think there is a truth to her argument, but her argument is very much limited to the last stage of the election. It's sort of a, it's a very narrow time frame and narrow view, I think. She's right, because from what I understand, the turnout for this election was relatively high. I think highest since 1990s, with 55% turning out to vote. There are many, including her and many others, Matt Taibbi talks about that, and many other people talk about anecdotal evidence of parents being unhappy with not specifically CRT, but sort of, let's call them woke curriculum being included into children's education. And then you also had COVID during the last year or so, which I think has made parents more involved. And again, based on anecdotal evidence, not based on a study, I see a lot of parents that are far more conscious about what their children are taught now, because they're very involved in the teaching thing. So I think all these factors kind of agree with her point that the main issue that led to the Republican win was the education. issue specifically. I think it's education at primary school level. Am I correct?
Very, very good question. I mean, yeah,
I
don't know at what, and I'm
anyway.
guessing, I don't think it's that precise and accurate. I mean, some of it is probably just like all over the place, just like how CRT is kind of generalized. I would imagine that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I believe nowhere in Virginia they're teaching CRT specifically. They're teaching things that in popular culture or commonly are associated with CRT or that type of thing.
Kinda,
But
yeah. I
I'd
mean,
like
yeah,
to.
yeah.
Do you have any take on this sort of narrative or this analysis of the election? Because I just wanted to offer an alternative as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of people are putting exactly the weight on the education. They're saying that, his responses, the incumbent, his responses about education were just so off-putting and so dismissive. But just one thing I guess to bear in mind is that he lost the election, but I guess he lost it by like half a percentage point or a percentage point. And I mean, these elections are always between a Democrat and Republican, and they're usually kind of close, right? So I mean, I feel like that needs to be taken into consideration a little bit also when we talk about the other reasons that this could have been happened, because one of the bigger narratives that people are trying to give is that this foreshadows how Democrats are going to do in all elections going forward. I think maybe need to be like a bit chilled with that. But yeah, I can see this seems like this education did play a role, and from a distance, it seems to me that probably some of the ideas about it were twisted and not legitimate. But yeah, that's kind of my take.
Of course. I would add Virginia is a very interesting state because it does represent, you have some of the, not urban elite in the same way New York does, but urban managerial elite that live and work in Washington, in Arlington, in those type of places. So you have those, but you also have pretty much, large areas that are, sort of more rural, more dominated by white people. But then you have Washington, which is a wholly like Black or African American majority of the population. So I do think Virginia is an interesting case study for how U.S. Is evolving in a way, but no, I agree with every point you made. I thought this election specifically was again, I'm gonna rip somebody off. Matt Christman, the guy from Chapel Trap House. I think generally speaking, don't really watch us, just go watch him. And they provide the best, like about the US, about other stuff, watch us. But they provide the best analysis, I think, of thing. And he gave a very interesting take, and I thought it's worth sharing. And I think it's something you can sort of how do they say it, you can apply to the whole trend in the US. They talk about that when you look politics, I talked about this I think last week a bit. Politics are increasingly becoming entertainment and pageantry, and I think this, after Obama, it just became to a whole different level after the failures of dealing with the 2008. Like, it became a pageantry, it's all ritual and all that. And then so when politics is emptied of material, when politics, at least the politics of the, no, I'm not talking about real politics, I'm talking about politics as a process, becomes empty of material interest. All that you're left with is culture. One example of culture is education, that type of thing. And in culture wars, the two things allows the right to win always. One is that they have more money and more organization. Just religious institutions, for example, are largely associated with the right. So, more money. And he pointed out that, for example, pretty much since 1990s, you could argue, or even before that, since 19, it seems like the result of civil rights movement in 1960s was that that Democrats or liberals, they get to define like the culture, while conservatives get to run the economy. So Democrats have been creating theses, or they create the establishment, and the right wing, and they create the antithesis, the sort of reaction to that, and that puts them in the rebel position and all that. So in a culture war situation, there is a good chance that they always win. So, I thought that was a very interesting alternative, more grand take. This doesn't take away anything from all the education and stuff. It's just a bit of more of a macro view. I thought was interesting. I don't know, maybe it's bullshit. I don't know what you think.
No, I mean, it sounds like it. He just generalized it a bit more. So in Virginia, I guess like the cultural issue was education, and in somewhere else, it will become another cultural issue that will be the
Abortion,
main issue. And yeah, and exactly. I mean, most politicians can talk about more. I mean, I wish I had that. Where did I read it? Where someone wrote that the Democratic candidate could have Terry could have easily attacked Glenn Youngkin on a few things of where he worked for, I believe, in the past and all this, but they were like, oh no, but he just got like funding from them or something like 2 years ago, so that's why he can't talk about it. So I mean, and on the media, they couldn't make genuine criticisms of Trump, because then they would put the Democrats in a bad situation, or Democrats couldn't make genuine criticisms about Trump, because they'll be hypocrites and they do the same thing. So they have to, go all the way to like, some extremes and find something. So yeah, I mean, I think just like you're saying, when there's nothing when there's nothing material. Yeah, let me get. When there's nothing like really, when you can't talk about anything that's of material importance because you cancel everything out, then you're left with these kind of issues. And education could be an important issue, but I'm guessing the way most of this went about, it's a lot of bullshit. I'm just guessing a priori.
I agree with that. I just wanted to make it clear that I think a lot of criticisms of Trump were genuine about his like tone, is about the way his language and stuff. It just doesn't matter as a politician. It matters as a family friend. Yeah, the Russia stuff is, I mean, come on, that's complete bullshit. Yeah. I mean, even if you make a genuine criticism that is not relevant to the issue at hand, it doesn't matter. Like, when you're judging a politician, you're not judging somebody for your like dinner party. It's just, different, criticisms apply. But I mean, yeah, and for example, I mean, the Lincoln Project projects, I think is the like it just it shows the like shall we? Do you want to give a brief what happened with Lincoln Projects and how they tried to intervene in the Virginia election? Well, they hired some people to pretend. Yeah, they hired some people to pretend to be tiki torchers and white supremacists and stand in front of the Republican candidate's bus to sort of defame him. And then out of the, I believe, 5 people they hired, 2 of them were not even white male. They like one of them apparently was African American and another one was female. So and then it's all pageantry, it's all ritual, it's all about culture. That's what we mean. And it was really funny because when they did that, some people thought, oh, is that because Lincoln Project peoples are actually Republicans? Was that a ploy to like sort of defame actually Democrats? It was like it's sort of double triple bluff situation. But then apparently the internal communication has become public, and no, they're just as stupid as they act. It's just there is no double bluff. But that's what politics has been reduced to.
Yeah, and I guess another thing is just a little bit of their incompetence, I guess, could be another reason, like anywhere else. So I just wanted to share this video after where Katie Halper on her show, they go through this flyer that was sent that was supposed to support the Democrat governor, but the flyer is just so confusing. You would think that it's the pro-Republican one, and apparently they send this to Democrats and independents. So yeah.
But I think play the video.
I don't know if you saw this, Kay, but they Youngkin actually sent out McCullough sent out pro Youngkin ads highlighting that he was endorsed by Donald Trump. He actually, the Democratic Party sent out pro Youngkin ads. I can't believe this. I can, let me share the screen.
The issue there, of course, again, is a lot of people are attracted to Trump or his presidency because he has a very kind of, folksy vibe. It's the same
very
reason.
Clear message, right? Like regardless of what, like what he's about.
Oh, you can add it to the screen if people want to see the ad. I have it on my.
I don't know if a lot of people know what Trump is about, but I think they see him and knew him from TV,
right?
And he was kind of his whole message was.
They know what he says, at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Build that wall, make America great again. Like all the, the opposite side of
that's
like
true.
With the simplicity of it, which is what makes you great when you're great. Like for Medicare for all, or all right. So what's this? This is an ad
that the Democratic Party sent out. Yeah. This is the ad.
So that's it. That's like, so you would be getting. So that's like, where does it say that this is from the Democrats? Does it say vote McAuliffe like on the other side? This is kind of amazing.
So
it's like.
There it is.
It's on the little.
Oh my God! So you get this, and all it is if you like. So you're Dem. I guess they sent this to Dems, or and it would.
Well, they sent this to Dems and Independents, apparently. Dems and Independents, apparently. And obviously, with these, it's so dumb. First of all, just because one Dem is in family doesn't mean every Dem. Doesn't mean that because they voted before, they're always going to vote. You're sending them ads endorsing a candidate. Like that. Does that ever happen?
It's so out of touch.
Would a Republican ever send, like, Barack Obama has endorsed such and such a candidate?
Well, you know what? If they did, they would do it in like a very effective way, at least.
Yeah.
It would, you know what I mean? It would have been like Barack Obama was endorsed by Bill Ayers. Like, do you want him palling around with his terrorists? Like what Sarah Palin did. Like, she made it very clear, right? Mm-hmm. She made this doesn't even say that though.
No, it's like, just straight up pro-Trump. And it's like very lightly. It's like, we'll take back Virginia. Sounds good to me. Like, who's going to object to that?
Sounds like he's so desperate. It's like, why are you spending your money and your campaign argument? Like, that's your campaign argument, and it's just it's so ridiculous.
Your argument is that the other guy's gonna win. That's the argument. To vote for me because the other guy is going to win and take back Virginia.
Let's talk about that. The optics of it. I mean, just until a few weeks ago,
Leslie, can you and YB get closer together at all?
Just
so I can see. Leslie, you're kind of cut off. Maybe if not, it's not a huge deal.
Okay. Yeah, just until maybe a month ago. I mean, it was hard for me to tell the difference between McAuliffe and Youngkin.
All right. So I think that wasn't the point of that. They were trying to connect the Republican candidate to Trump. So it was like the whole vagueness was on purpose.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess it backfired on the way that it was done, because based on the way that they were looking at it, they're like, you might have been trying to, say, oh, this guy's like Trump, but it doesn't really say that this is coming from the Democrats and all this. So I'm not sure if it would land the kind of punch power that
I am very interested. Oh, sorry. No, I'm just very interested too, because while the Republican candidate tried to keep Trump at arm's length, Trump himself very much weighed into the Virginia Republic. They kept the telephone or something. So I am interested to see what effects did that have? Was it the overall good thing for the Republican candidates, Trump support, or was it better to have Trump at the arm's length? So these type of analysis would be quite interesting.
Definitely. And I mean, I think he made it seem like it was done, he wouldn't say that, he kept himself in an ambiguous way with his relationship to Trump. So keeping everybody happy. Those who don't like Trump, he didn't talk about Trump too much. And those who like Trump, he didn't dismiss Trump. So based on what others are saying, he kind of played the Trump game pretty well.
Yes, I think so. Yeah. I think at the national stage, if somebody can play that game, that would be quite a dangerous fellow.
And then, so Sam, I mean, Matt Taibbi did a lot of reporting on this too. And I mean, the first thing he did was
not a lot. He actually
to
clarified. No, he clarified he's just started reporting on this, at least in his interview on the Hill.
Yeah, no, I heard that too. But I mean, he went to Virginia, all that for this election. So he definitely, he started. And so, and then the first thing that they do this useful idiots kind of live stream right after like the election while the results weren't even announced. And Matt Taibbi gets the pizza.
That was fantastic.
Matt Taibbi orders a pizza and then the guy delivers like 5 minutes into the stream. I don't know why.
And Wilson, I think I sent you hold on a second, I gotta pay for a pizza. Hello, sir. Hi, here you go. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So McAuliffe, that was funny, right? Yeah. Can people hear me? I can't hear you now.
All right, sorry, I muted myself. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of pizza was it, by the way?
It's pepperoni.
So good.
And the reason for that is that I just had I was just at the Trump Golf Club, and they were serving pepperoni, slices of pepperoni, and it was really good. So now I had to inspire me.
He ordered it that time. And then the pizza's there, and everyone in the comment section is just totally like distracted by the pizza, asking him to eat it. And I understand Matt Taibbi. He wanted to enjoy his pizza after the live thing, but everybody's like, no, come on, eat it now. And then Katie Halper forces him to have a bite.
I mean, I posed that as a question to our audience, which is a very small audience, but I am far more that kind of a style. But Kam here has this emphasis on production values and giving people some level of like quality. But I'm very fine with Katie Halper, Matt Taibbi's style of like, you have a pizza, then like somebody for your friend comes in, they just join the thing. It's just a very chilled version of it's like reality TV show.
But I mean, I did find it. Everybody was distracted for like 20 minutes because then Katie also asked him, "Are you not hungry?" He's like, "No, I'm starving."
Yeah. But I have that too. I can't eat when I can eat only with the TV show or like content. I can only eat with content. It's weird.
Same here. I don't eat anything without watching the same sitcoms and shows I've been watching for the past 15 years. But talking about Matt Taibbi, what about his reporting? Does his takes and stuff, are they pretty much like the lady who was on the Katie Halper show? I mean, stressing education, or there's some other or slightly different points that he was making?
I think he's reporting on the ground from very tiny bits that I read and from some things that I watched, because he was reporting from the ground. So it would make sense that it kind of confirmed her analysis that the education thing was the big driver. He talks about all these Facebook groups, and there may have been even illegal activities in forming quorums like that are secret. So it's a fascinating read and all that. But yeah, on the ground, evidence suggests that we say it was a very high turnout. It was about 55%. It's not crazy. So, these type of like, if you have you have a couple of very active, strong minority groups motivated by an issue, that could turn the tide.
Yeah. So I don't know if you have anything more serious to say about Virginia, but before moving to New Jersey and Buffalo and the other stories that we have here for the U.S., I just wanted to share my layman take of the day.
Which layman or layman
yeah, sure. Take of the day, which is, I understand being involved in like kind of having an idea what's going on in your kid's school. And I don't have kids yet, so I haven't thought about this properly. But I don't know how much time you must have on your hands to be concerned with the curriculum that they're teaching. I mean, I was like, in any country that I've been, I mean, I don't care what the school teaches them. I mean, as long as they teach kind of like, okay, let's not take it too far, right? I mean, not something insane, but let's just keep it a bit normal. I mean, as long as they're teaching the basics and stuff, I wouldn't be too concerned what they're teaching. Even if I think what they're teaching is not good, you can just counter that at home. So I mean, I just don't see like this approach that some of these people are taking and where they have this time for. I mean, I'm assuming as a parent, the few hours that those kids are away, I mean, they're away and you want to focus on your work and your other things that you have to do, and being involved in the curriculum. I mean, let's say if there's a big change in like the style of the school, I don't know, they suddenly say, let's bring police officers. I'm making stuff up. Something like that, I can see like, okay, some drastic, but the curriculum, damn, like, I mean, that's like really pushy and being so involved and wanting the curriculum. And of course, a lot of their ideas of what's in the curriculum and what's not, I'm assuming, is very like distorted and far from the truth, from reality. So yeah, I don't know if you were shocked by this whole people being that into it, not with just like their kids at school, but the curriculum. Like, wow, they have a lot of time on their hands. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking.
I believe the specific issue that got the most attention was parents trying to remove a book from a library. I don't know if it was a curriculum thing, but there was a general sense of apparently discomfort with the new adages to the curriculum. To be honest, education is an issue that it's in my view, I mean, it sounds so stupid and it sounds so Tony Blair and third way, but it is, I think, the most fundamental thing in a way if you want to change the society. Well, I used to think that, but then I saw some of the countries with the best education systems and some of the best reputed universities, and then I was like, okay, the outcome doesn't seem people coming out of it. Like, George Bush came out of Harvard. Obama used to teach constitutional law at Chicago. It's like, some of the people I consider to be, most corrupt, most stupid, whatever. So education, sometimes I feel like a state should completely take over education and not allow parents to get involved at all, because I see parents comment sometimes, or these independently run a school, charter schools, that type of bullshit, and you see the things they teach and you're like disgusted. So you feel like a state should take over. Then I remember some of the state school education I had, or people have had in different countries that I've happened to come across, and that was full of lies and brainwashing and the whole thing. So I really don't know. I mean, I keep going back and forth with that. I would say, I think in schools they should really focus on teaching languages, skills like cooking, maybe gardening, sewing, carpentry. Like, I think maybe a school should be more about that than teaching history and stuff. Maybe that stuff should be left at high school, university level.
And family. It is.
I really don't know.
I mean,
it's something that really just I've never come to a firmer stance on it, and I hate that. There's no I can't have a consistency on this issue, because wherever I look, I see flaws. Like, you have these parents that teach like crazy Christian values to their children. Then you have these states that teach completely distorted histories or bullshit that make the child feel bad. So I just think you should teach them languages and leave them alone with literature. Let them read different literature from different countries, and skills like a scouts type thing, like how to make fire, how to like if cook, that type.
Yeah, I mean, I think those things. Well, I want to say I'm not dismissing the importance of education whatsoever, but I don't think anybody thought that. I mean, teaching those kind of skills and stuff, I see that, but I'm a bit less into that than you, maybe towards the end. But I agree. I mean, schools, what do they teach in for 5, 6 years primary? They teach you how to read and write and math, and then maybe some very basic sciences, and then there's geography and a little bit of history comes in. Like, let's not pretend that after like in grade 4 people are reading Marx suddenly or something. And you pointed out that it's true that go ahead, then I'll come to my second point.
No, sorry, the history one, I have to challenge you on that, because as soon as you get to history, and most nations, you're giving children a narrative, right? And the original narrative, even though, for example, I'm not a religious person, but because I come from a religious, even my parents weren't religious, but I come from a religious community, and that has an effect. I do understand that I'm different from somebody who came up in a non-religious community or society. So I do think as soon as you start with history or even geography in many ways, you really get into murky territory. That's why I say focus on skills. Sorry, but I do agree with you, physics, math, that type of thing.
But yeah, and education, I think history, every single country kind of struggles with teaching history that's good and worthwhile. And some things there's not even any fixing. I mean, maybe you can fix a bit, maybe you can't. But even, I mean, I feel like that's such an easy thing to counter at home. I mean, you just gave an example. You've gone to schools your whole life where I'm guessing where religion was taught, right? It didn't turn you into a religious person. So, I mean, school is not a very great education. But school is not great education. Like, if you hear bullshit at school, the parents can just counter it if that's what they really do. Just at home talking about it, getting involved in this kind of curriculum thing. I wouldn't pick most states' curriculum, I think, than some parents put together and then playing around with the curriculum. I would honestly trust them more, even though I don't trust any any state really. Yeah.
Yes, I would go with that. But I would say that there seems to be two kinds of mentality. And I think in the West, the one is more prevalent, which is like, I don't know. I always found like in the East, like there is more suspicious. I mean, East and West, by the way, I know I'm using very murky terms that are shorthand for like, it's a very ideal type, as Weber says. I'm not talking about the specific things, right? I just wanted to make the point that I think there's these two mentalities. Growing up, I hated the school. I was very suspicious of the school. Same with government, same with businesses, same with, everything. And then there seems to be a different mentality that is shocked by, I was very suspicious, but I knew that they are serving a role, but of course they are flawed in that and they're corrupt because people are involved and all that. But there seems to be a different mentality that seems to want these institutions to be perfect, or is shocked when they're not. And I think these two types of, like, I would, if I ever have a child, God forbid, I would, of course, I would monitor what he's taught in a school. And I'm sure what he's taught at the school is bullshit. And I'm sure what I will tell him will be sometimes bullshit. And because there is no truth, and he's going to find things out on his own. And that's why, again, just teach them different languages, allow them to read as much literature from different people, from different cultures, so they have a large cultural experience and they can think for themselves. That's the only way I can see out of this thing.
That's the best thing. But I mean, I'm guessing
I don't know.
Some of these parents don't want that. I mean, I'm just generalizing, but I'm guessing some of these parents don't want their kids to be taught in a way that, then they can think for themselves and all that. I mean,
to be fair, I think if you say like let's teach children Chinese Communist Party's achievements, parents would naturally have somewhat of a backlash. But let's say if from a very young age people are given Chinese novels to read, novels by African Americans, novels by European authors, I think that way parents won't have such a strong backlash against it. Some would definitely, but
yeah. I mean, anyway, I find like the education
I'm
system
sitting
doesn't go
here
that
as
far
if I'm
anyway,
Minister
right?
of Education.
I mean, the whole story is made up, right? I mean, the whole story is made up. The whole critical race theory thing in schools, based on what I understand, is completely made up. And just putting myself back in school, I'm thinking where or how. I mean, what do they? And people have given some crazy examples about CRT, though. Apparently, in this one school, they set up like a committee for kids to rat on other kids. And someone was giving that as an example of CRT, but okay, come on. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I mean, I don't know how you connected that to CRT or something, but okay, yeah, I mean, that's totally different.
Wait.
I don't understand what that has too much to do with CRT. Go ahead.
No, you're just like I use the word East and West as a shorthand for a large concept that is not as you can define it as specifically. CRT for many people in Virginia became the shorthand for all these woke initiatives, let's call them.
That doesn't sound very woke schools. To me. Ratting on other kids, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree with you, but woke in terms of ratting on other kids on woke issues, like for example that person said a negative thing about trans people, for example, right? And I do think you're right, there was a level of exaggeration and all that, but I do think there was some you're right that to conflate that specifically with CRT is complete bullshit. But it's kind of like this discussion we had about Thomas Frank's use of the word populism. Of course, the original people who created populism as a word didn't mean it in the way it's used today. But then again, it is used as a short term for sort of fanaticism and racial, you know what I mean? Like words have different meanings in different contexts. So I do think there was some level
it to something else. They've just turned it into something completely else. And the example of kids ratting on other kids, like if a school implements such a policy, now for me, now that's something a parent should get involved. Now that I see the value of like, something like that changes in school, you're like, what the hell are you doing? Like, what do you mean? That's not curriculum though. So that's why I found it. If you're going to put everything and anything under CRT, and I completely understand your point, it's been distorted, then we're talking about something else. Sure.
But I would like to point three maybe things out there. I would agree with you that, by the way, for many years we had an education that was completely dominated by religious and historical narratives that are complete bullshit. I'm talking about the US, I'm talking about Europe, I'm talking about Asia, I'm talking about everywhere. So, suddenly this backlash against CRT is a bit of a like, you've been in a privileged position when your narrative was for many years taught to kids, and now when they're presented with alternative narratives. So when we are talking about substance of what they're taught, okay, that's one thing. Again, I'm not saying parents shouldn't have an input, but let's put things into a context. That's one thing. Secondly, I think besides all the topics of education and all this bullshit we talked about, the most important thing about the education system, especially at a young age, is the communal things they teach. It teaches you. And if you're teaching children to rat on each other, whether it's for woke policies or whether it's for, he said something bad about Jesus, or he said something bad about liberalism, or whatever it is, that's a very bad thing in my view. And children should not rat on each other. It doesn't mean they shouldn't report serious crimes or anything, but you shouldn't like cultivate the nature of like, you're again, like it's just pitting people against each other, and children are already very much inclined to pick on the weak and that type of thing. So they don't need this. So it's a fascinating topic. But I love how we are talking about this topic as if we have any power or any But
it's just interesting, and I just wanted to actually come back to one thing that you said, very important. But before that, just another example of the bullshit CRT thing. I think I heard this on the Hill too, and maybe the Kim lady or somebody else. She's like, yeah, and a lot of the teachers who are teaching, they were taught CRT. Okay, good. I mean, they went to university. I'm happy about that. So I mean, I don't really get the point. Like the very good faith version of it is like, oh no, and then these people become consultants, and then they remake the curriculum, and then the curriculum includes CRT. That's like a very good, like good faith interpretation of a quite ridiculous point she made. I found to be.
No, but you must admit, in liberal media, I don't know if you saw that video of famous like MSNBC, CNN host who said CRT, which is not real. At the same time that the right wing exaggerates that, creates moral panic, they also deny that anything is changing or anything new is being added. And yes, again, you're right, CRT is not exactly what's happening in Virginia schools, but most people mean, when they say CRT, they mean those changes. They don't mean the theory of CRT as developed in 1950s in legalist universities of America, So I think that is disingenuous to say that CRT is not real, or there is no change in education happening. Of course it is. Whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing should be discussed in a very open and very, I believe, rational manner, but that's a different discussion.
And a lot of them reflect changes in society, like slowly at one point in the US, they allowed Black kids to also go to the same schools. And a lot of these people say CRT, I guess they kind of mean like, oh, now you talk about slavery or something to 15-year-old kids and you shouldn't or something. I'm just imagining. But you also made a very good point when you're giving your points about the communal nature of school, which is probably the most important thing, which like always makes me think like these parents who homeschool their kids, man, if you like teaching your kids so much, let them go get this experience in school, then come back and you sit with them for an hour or two or three times a week. I think that would do a world of benefit than you keeping your kid at home, but to each their own.
We are talking about middle class people. Most people don't have, and I kind of wanted to, I was going to leave that for our end of the show, but let's say it here about a viewer's comment as well. I would say a lot of working class people sadly don't have the time to spend enough time for their children's development and education. So there is that issue. And I don't know, as somebody, and again, anecdotally, I have a young child in my family, and the fact that he's deprived of this communal experience is, you can see it's not good, it's not a positive influence on him. And then I see teenagers and people at university, and a lot of them are genuinely like, they're going through hell, it's like all the bad things bad things about high school and university are there, and all the positive things as a young girl or a young boy is not there, like the going out with friends, making friends that probably
so you're talking about COVID.
Because of COVID, due to COVID. So when you don't have that community aspect, it's very, very bad. I mean, the COVID thing, I'm not saying the COVID thing is a serious matter, and sadly these measures had to be taken. But we should cultivate a feeling of community within our education system. I think, even though I hate 100%. Community, but it's just, we should try, it's not going to work. But
I have the same thoughts. Yeah, go ahead.
And then we had a viewer's comment about this whole bonding with a young child, and if you have a young child, should you bond? And then somebody said that giving more money and giving child benefits encourages people to have more children, and that's a bad thing. an unfair thing. And as somebody who's anti-population growth, I thought maybe I should agree with that. But then I thought about, and the child shouldn't be punished for the mistakes of their parents, So we're gonna what? Just deprive a child of money and facilities and opportunities because yeah, we don't want to encourage other people to have children, so we're going to allow an individual to yeah, I found that argument to be sadly very lacking in any anything. So yeah, I even though I don't like population growth, I am very much for child benefit, because yeah, you shouldn't be punished, even if you accept that was a mistake to have a child in the first place. When, for example, if you don't have any economic prospects or you can't take care of a child or whatever, the child shouldn't be fucking punished, So yeah, sorry.
No, very, very well,
Somewhat
very well put.
Tangent.
And I mean, I think it was a bit of an extreme comment left on our page, which didn't even get the little bit of love that some of the more reasonable comments get in terms of getting a like.
I mean, it was a fair point, but I thought I responded to it.
Sure, but
it was made very politely response as well. It was,
yeah, no, that's true. If not, YouTube would have done it.
I love
otherwise
that.
It wouldn't have made it. Yeah.
No, yeah, well, majority of the comments that disagree with us are very polite too.
No, they do. Nice. But I'm saying as soon as they take the comments, if you take a bit of a harsher tone, YouTube often prevents you from fully.
Yes, and it's so annoying when we had once we had almost like a racialist, like Nazi, pretty much. Somebody left a pretty racist comment, and that was kept on. But then somebody made a very nice comments, but it had fuck or something in it. And that was that was weird.
Instagram, the other day I was tweeting, I was not tweeting, this picture video pissed me off and I was like, blah, 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 something dumb. And it blocked my message. So, I mean, the AI can pick on these kind of words. But I just want to also go back and then we can move to COVID. I'm sorry, not to COVID, to New Jersey. To New Jersey. My point is about COVID. What I wanted to say that from the get-go, the thing that worried me the most was that kids not going to school with COVID. And especially since I know that based on experience in the education system, they're going to try to rush these kids out of the educational system anyway without trying to fix any gaps that were created in this 1 to 2 years. I mean, in some European countries, people were very fortunate. The schools closed for 3 weeks to a month, not even. But I believe somewhere in the Philippines, kids are still not going to school. I mean, I need to double check this, but I saw this a month or two ago. So, I mean, some places they've completely shut down schools, which is extremely concerning.
I would say Iran is a great microcosm for the world in that sense. I mean, a lot of nations claim to be in the middle of the world and all that. I do genuinely think Iran is in so many ways, because Iran, the rich people in Iran, in middle class, kind of like Singapore and all that, they don't, the moral panic here. We don't want our children to go to a school. Oh, it's all that. But the poor people, kind of like the global south, because there is so much inequality, economic inequality in Iran, they have to send their kids sometimes to school, and government has to provide some level of, sort of babysitting, basically, so the laborers can get their jobs done and stuff. So yeah, you see all these different responses, and it's sad. I would say I think during COVID, I had no problem with any of the closures really, or all that, as long as, by the way, the vulnerable people are provided with support to be able to reach food and all that. But the education one, I feel should have been, they should have really expanded the schools and made classrooms that are for 5 to 10 people with distancing. They should have kept that, that was the most crucial thing. But then again, maybe I just have a bit of
100%. And I mean, just to play devil's advocate, I mean, the only thing, if I was I was like, a politician in these countries. I mean, I wouldn't admit that. But the thing is that like, if you're really incompetent at governance, then you're like, if we open the kids' school, then people are gonna take their kids to school, and then they're gonna mingle and all this, and then there's gonna be like, more people out. I assume
No, that's true.
that's kind of thing that they would say,
wait,
yes,
wait.
and there is
No.
some truth to it, but they wouldn't admit it.
No. There is not some truth. All the studies have shown that whenever schools are open, flu and common cold and all these diseases become more common and all that. But I think the onus shouldn't have been everybody wants to close down everything, or it's like the hospital thing. Why hospitals in the UK are becoming overwhelmed so fast? Why don't we have? Why isn't there a emergency plan for such things where we have enough teachers to have one teacher per 10 students? So in these type of emergencies we can provide these services, but when you don't have these infrastructures and these plans ready, you have to close down.
100%. And that's how you get good education. Fund all schools properly, where there's the right amount of things, right amount of students. And sure, you might not get the best education every instance, but I think overall kids should get a decent experience if you just focus maybe just on the resources a bit more, rather than, this book or that book. But, let's not let like some people in Virginia, I mean,
yeah. I love, by the way, how we started this segment about US brief and US elections and just because we love this topic, it just devolved into this discussion about the future of education in the global sense and all that. But
all I've heard.
This is the topic I can go on about forever.
Okay, so let's switch it, because in New Jersey, the narrative hasn't been so much about education, but it's not our fault. Everybody talks about Virginia is not synonymous with education. It seems like that's all that was talked about.
No, it's just I love this topic, so I would be rambling on and on about, and I have not yet made up my mind one way or another, and I can't, and it's so annoying. So but New Jersey, to be honest, it seemed to be a bit of a culture war thing, but not focused on education. And I would say apparently this is like very rare in New Jersey for incumbents to win a re-election. So in that sense, Democrats had pulled off an interesting victory.
Yeah, so exactly. Murphy, 64, became the first Democratic governor in 4 decades to win re-election in New Jersey. So that's why, I mean, I don't know, there was this tweet or someone who like probably wasn't even on our side or something, but they were like, it's as if with this Virginia and New Jersey election, though, they were like waiting, like everybody, journalists from all sides, a lot of them were just waiting to go with the narrative that, okay, both of them will go to the Republicans, which will show that, that the Biden administration is going to backfire big time, and that the Democrats are going to be screwed in the upcoming 2022 election and stuff. But so far, it's 1-1. I mean, I just thought that narrative was pushing it a bit too far. Like we just said, he's the first Democratic governor in 4 decades to win re-election. So I mean, I think a bit, and you highlighted the importance of Virginia in the beginning. So you did that, but
I would add that he apparently won by a very thin margin.
And the other guy lost by a very thin margin, no? They both won and lost. Yeah.
True, but this is the first or second year of Biden presidency, so it is a bit more. It is more of a referendum on Democrats than Republicans. That's one thing. 2, I believe there was a Senate or a state Senate election as well in New Jersey, and that was a big upset win for Republicans. So, I do think general trend is more negative on Democrats, but you are right, though. I do think just generally media loves to do this. Media is like, they are like the guys who work for a horse racing gambling company, and they want to incite you to, like, they want to make things much more intense and hot and interesting as they are. And it's not, yeah, I agree with you there. It's not quite as, it's it's not as big of a deal, but they made it like Democrats now in destruction, blah blah. Yeah, it's just, I agree with you there, but I would say the states, was it a state senate or actual senate elections? But it seemed to have been
Republican Edward Durr, truck driver who spent $153 on campaign, defeats New Jersey Senate president. So is a New Jersey. I mean, and the $153 thing pisses me off because, I mean, it kind of doesn't make sense. I mean, the guy worked with volunteers. So, I mean, I guess everybody does that, but it's just, I feel like there's something misleading about the fact that this guy spent
I would say probably.
Well, let's put that aside.
That type of election that type of election attracts about 3 to 6 people, so makes sense.
But still, it's $153 nothing. And I don't know if you use the word horse race on purpose, because I mean, that's how in political science and stuff, they cover the way that news media frames elections is typically through this horse race framing, which is always about, oh, he's 2%. I mean, CNN, they specialize in this, right? They suddenly all turn into chart masters always, and they're like, oh, 2% here, 3%, they're so close.
I didn't do it consciously, but yeah, I mean, I remember when I was very young, I watched this very awesome movie. If you want to understand politics, watch Wag the Dog with Dustin Hoffman and Robert De Niro. And in that, it's a very common phrase used in politics, advertisement and PR, that you don't change your horse in the middle of a race or something, that type of thing. So, yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, the New Jersey one, is there much? I mean, the New Jersey one, the results have come in so late. There has been much less coverage about it. So, I mean, from where we are, I know much less about it. So I don't have any other takes on New Jersey. I don't know about you.
It does seem like the guy who is in New Jersey is a bit more of a leftist, more of a populist than the Democratic candidate in Virginia. So it's a bit of a more of a good news. And the Republican guys seem to be quite an awful candidate. But no, I think let's talk about Buffalo, because that's a more interesting, not more interesting, but more enigmatic case. Because last night I followed the news, and pretty much everywhere were saying that Buffalo, or the second biggest city in New Jersey, has had elected its socialist mayor. Then late at night I was checking, and it said it's not clear. Today apparently she lost. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, let me read. So the latest that we got together from a CNBC article, MSNBC article, I believe, says India Walton's once promising bid to become the first socialist mayor of Buffalo, New York, and the first in a major American city in over a century, looks like it may be over after a remarkably effective write-in campaign by the long-time incumbent she had toppled in the primary. As of 12:30 Eastern time yesterday, about 59% of votes submitted in her contest were write-in candidates, and 41% were cast for Walton, CNN reported. Walton has not conceded, and her opponent, Byron Brown, has declared victory despite the fact that votes will not be tabulated until November 17th. So I guess she's calling a bit of an early result. But yeah, I guess you bugged kind of in the part where by the long-time incumbent, she had pulled in the primary. Is that what threw you off?
Yeah, because look, in conservative leadership elections, for example, there is ranked choice style voting. I didn't understand that, and I didn't have time to research. But I didn't understand. Is it that the case that she they have different rounds, and you have to get more than 50%, and she beat him in the first round, but then because of second preference, he sort of came on top? I don't understand if she has beaten him in primary. How did he win in? I didn't get the phrasing there, but yeah.
Yeah, me neither. So hopefully, maybe we can look into this more and we can clarify it on our Sunday live. But Sam, I saw that you had some other points.
Clarify it for us in the comments.
Yeah. They don't want to be those guys. They don't want to be those guys. But Sam, I see in your notes you have a couple of other points after socialist mayor. You've written here the effects on the bill. You also have within the Democratic Party. So I don't know if you wanted to
Oh,
touch on
the
those.
effects, the effects on the bill. I think it was really interesting. Tim Kaine, if you remember him, he was the chosen Hillary Clinton VP candidate
In 2016.
There is,
yeah.
yeah,
I hadn't
there
heard of him
seems to
since,
be a,
but yeah.
yeah, he's very uninspired choice, a former pastor, I believe, or vicar. So Jesus Christ. Yeah, he was saying that, yeah, we need, this is a clear show that when we don't get shit done, like the infrastructure bill, reconciliation bill, and all that, that's very bad for us. Then you had also reports that others from Biden administration are saying that we moved way to the left in that election, which, you know, I can't see corresponding to reality. So, and then I put the Civil War in our notes because I wanted to talk about, Ryan Grimm did a great segment on this, I think, on the Hill, that there is a civil war between, not between, by the way, good Democrats and bad Democrats, between Democrats like Chuck Schumer, who are understanding that the capital is increasingly are coming from small donors, who are now the people who are relying on small donors are raising even more than people like Christian Cinema and Joe Manchin in some cases, not in all cases. So, and then you have the other ones that are completely are still sort of part of the old machine, like Christian Cinema and all that, you know, connected to the big money and all that. So I think these election and the aftermath of this election and the way Democratic Party will go will tell us which different faction is gonna win. And I hope Chuck Schumer faction obviously wins. And I always had a soft spot for Chuck Schumer. He seems like somebody who, if you pay him, he'll do your job. You know, he doesn't really have any political beliefs or anything like that, but he's malleable. He's a smart guy. He's not like, you know, Christian Cinema, a fucking idiot. Or, I mean, Joe Manchin, I would put, Joe Manchin is just like in a position he is. I don't know what else could he do. Like, you know, his son has a coal factory. You know, like, what do you want me to do, man? I have to get a tax break for them. So, you know, it's just, yeah.
So the civil war is between the quote unquote moderate Democrats.
No, not really. Between Democrats that see the future of the party financially in small donations, and the other ones that see the future of the party in just corporate donations. I think that's the real. And by the way, this is not a perfect like black and white thing.
Yeah.
It's just if you know what I mean. Like okay, I can have the small donations with some tech donations, and that would be good enough. Or I can have some, but I can't have the oil donation and a small donation. That just doesn't. Yeah, you know, it's not a good marketing thing. So.
Okay, I see. And on just wanted to come back on about the effects on the bill. I mean, the lady who Katie Halper had, she quite dismissed that. She pretty much dismissed
Christian Cinema.
No.
Yes.
The clip that we played in the beginning of this video, the
lady, the guest.
Yeah, the guest completely dismisses that, which I see. I mean, I'm sure if the Democrats had delivered something huge and big, it could have helped to have that in the campaign. But, you know, people probably focused on things more concrete to their state.
If I had to put my money on it, I would say, yeah, I'm very pessimistic too. But the Tim Kaine interview, Chuck Schumer's comments, and like the level of pressure that Joe Manchin is coming under, is a bit like, because from past, Joe Manchin never got this level of heat from moderate Democrats, from CNN, from anyone, being hounded. Apparently, he's been hounded in his luxury car. His daughter's activities, his children's activities have come to light. So that does throw me off a bit. But if I have to put my money on it, no effect whatsoever.
Yeah, no. I mean, you kind of convinced me the other way on one small thing, which is, I believe the Virginia one was super close too. So any of these small things could have possibly tilted it one way
the role.
Or another. I don't know do we have anything else you want to talk about the US? I just wanted to bring quickly the election, just to see exactly.
No, I think we are done with US brief. We probably talk about US meddling in some other places, but yeah, we are done with US elections and all that. And just to add though, in terms of infrastructure bill and reconciliation bill, I'm sure most of our audience know this because it's been a couple of days, but the squad and they also pretty much they all caved in. Palmaya, I can never pronounce her name. I apologize. Palmaya Jayapal, went on TV and pretty much said that it's they're gonna vote for a gutted bill. So.
Yeah, and I just can't find the quick election result here. Okay, yeah. So he won by 50.9%. He got 50.9% of the vote. Oh, that's the lieutenant governor.
Which one?
Sorry, let me read the correct one. There we go. Virginia governor result. No, Virginia. Virginia governor results. Glenn Youngkin got 50.9%. Whereas Terry McAuliffe got 40.4%. And in terms of votes, there seems to be, am I reading this right? No, 80,000 vote difference, if I'm not mistaken. 80. So 1.6 to 1.5. Yeah, almost 100,000 difference in votes, it seems. So,
the Republican didn't win. The Republican didn't win with a big margin, but the difference is quite a lot. 10 points is quite a lot of difference.
There's almost, there seems, I mean, there is in percentage point wise, there's a 2.5% difference.
I thought you said he won by the Democrat guy got 40%.
No, 48.4. No.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
I thought
no.
40. Was like
I'm saying
points.
like the difference. So the difference isn't like half a point. It's
1.5. Yeah.
Which, I mean, these elections are close, and the New Jersey one I think was even closer though.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, all right. I think I don't have anything else to add on this on education and US.
Shall we let's talk about higher education. Okay, no.